They broke my creations. They laughed at my rags. Now, they all work for me. High school wasn't just a place for me. It was a cage. While the other cats were busy chasing status and trophies, I was always the one in the corner, clutching a notebook full of dreams and a handful of scrap metal. To them, I was just Barnaby the scrawny calico with the taped-up glasses and the patched-up hoodie, a stray among the purebreds. I remember the smell of that hallway, the wax on the floor, the heavy locker doors, and the sound of Clawson's boots. He was a Black Panther who owned every room he walked into, mostly because he used fear to buy the space. I'll never forget the day he tripped me just for the sport of it. I watched my first invention, a tiny mechanical mouse I'd built to keep my mother company, slide across the linoleum. Before I could reach it, Clawson's heavy boot came down. The sound of that metal crushing, it felt like he was stepping directly on my heart. He called me trash and told me I'd always be a stray. And the worst part? The whole hallway laughed. I put my hopes into the science fair. I thought if I could just show them my mind, they'd stop seeing my rags. I spent 6 months in a cold garage, building a drone from junkyard sensors and sheer will. It was my ticket out my scholarship to a future. I remember the look on the judges' faces. They were actually impressed. For 1 second, I felt like I belonged. Then, I saw Clawson. He didn't even say anything. He just slipped with a cup of punch. And in a flash of red liquid and blue sparks, my future died on that gym floor. He whispered in my ear that street rats don't go to college. That night, I sat on the school steps in a downpour. I realized then that tears don't build empires. I decided I was done crying. If the world wasn't going to give me a seat at the table, I would build my own. The next 10 years were a blur of caffeine and code. While they were out living their best lives, I was living in the dark, turning my spite into software and my anger into algorithms. Every time I wanted to quit, I just closed my eyes and heard the sound of that mechanical mouse breaking. It became my fuel. I didn't just want to succeed, I wanted to become a force they couldn't ignore. Slowly, the rags turned into silk. The garage turned into a skyscraper. I built Purr-Tech from nothing but the pieces Clawson tried to break. The funniest thing about life, though, is how it brings you back to where you started. Last Tuesday, my assistant told me a candidate was waiting to interview for a junior mechanic position. He was late, he looked tired, and his fur was matted with the kind of stress I used to know all too well. When he sat down and finally looked up at me, I saw the exact moment the blood left his face. It was Clawson. He looked at my suit, he looked at the logo on the wall, and he realized that the street rat was now his only hope for a paycheck. I could have ended him right there. I could have made him feel every bit of the shame he gave me, but as I looked at him, I realized I didn't hate him anymore. I actually owed him. If he hadn't been the villain in my story, I never would have become the hero of my own life. I didn't fire him. I hired him. Because the best revenge isn't seeing your enemies fail, it's reaching a level of success where you can afford to be the hand that picks them up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more emotional cat story. Comment part 2 if this story interests you.